Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Procrastinator's Pit Stop. We have another amazing guest for you today. We have with us Carolyn Biesalski. She is a dedicated German consultant and president of Reflection 8 Inc., and she leverages her background in accounting, organizational management, and community psychology to spotlight entrepreneurs, free thinkers, and artists on her Inspired podcast. Drawing on her unwavering persistence and passion for turning dreams into reality, she coaches individuals and organizations, both profit and nonprofit, thinking into results to the pinnacle of success and recognition they deserve. Carolyn, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're definitely excited to have you here, and we have some really exciting topics to go dive into. But before we get into that, we do like to have an icebreaker on this show. And the question for you today was, which cartoon character do you resonate with the most and why?
I love that question. This is my favorite question. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I would say it is Popeye. I don't know if it's pronounced the same way like in Germany, but I guess you know about who I'm talking about. It's the strong, it's a pirate, I think, on a ship. And then he eats this secret ingredient and then he gets more strength and power.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, spinach. You had those other people, olive oil, and well, I don't know if she was named olive oil in German.
Olivia.
Yeah, and no, I like that one. You know, those ones are pretty good. I still enjoy those actually. Still like those. All right, let's dive into it, Carolyn. For you, how do you define procrastination, and what does it mean to you personally?
Yeah, what a great question. Again, what is procrastination? It is a slow death. It's the opposite of moving forward. It's not just standing still, it's moving backward. Because when you procrastinate, you are not getting things done. And it is like you miss out so much opportunity where you can act, but you don't do it. Why are you not doing it?
And we know there can be many causes for this, and it's such a huge topic. Hence, well, hence the podcast and so many so many interviews. There's no real silver bullet, but from your perspective, um, what is the way to, or what's the secret sauce for overcoming procrastination?
So the opposite, the other word is decisiveness. So when you learn to make quick decisions, as successful people do, then you are on a really good side of life. You get things done and you are successful as well. You are following through with your goals. And I think your question was, yeah, how do we overcome procrastination? First of all, it is a decision as well to be more decisive. And I learned this 2 years ago. I made a decision to make decisions within 1 minute. And then the year after, I increased it to 30 seconds. So of course we have this gut feeling, and we can say if we want to participate in a thing, in a project or not, and we can make a decision. We can make this a new habit to be decisive.
I like that. You know, making the decision to be decisive. So just taking that back, I suppose that you could say that procrastination is really the decision to not make a decision.
Yes. It's like, it's also, there's another word, maybe complacency. So you are satisfied with the things as they are. So you are settling for something, not progressing and not moving forward. But life is about growing, about making decisions and then having different experiences.
Got it.
Yeah.
And why don't you go into a little bit about your journey? It sounds really interesting. Tell us about your journey and how you got to be where you are today.
Yes, thank you for asking this because I had a first life, so to say, where I made decisions on other people's opinions, so to say, or what they thought would be great for me. So I was complacent as well. like, okay, I'm doing this because I think I cannot do better. For example, so I studied economics first. I wanted to do psychology, but it was not possible. This is what I told myself. So I procrastinated on that until I reached the age of 35. And then I turned my dream into reality and studied psychology. What I did was I created an accounting company first because also, so I made decisions, right? And the question is this the right decisions? But we can also say, better you make a decision that is not so good and you can learn something instead of not making decisions at all. So my journey started 3 years ago when there was the pandemic and I came across this TikTok guy talking about procrastination and forming new habits, learning something new, turning your dreams into reality. I followed him and I studied with him. We studied books and, for example, Think and Grow Rich as well by Napoleon Hill. And then I decided to become a consultant to teach people how to make decisions and how to change their self-image to be perceived as more decisive, as we said.
Excellent. And every journey kind of has those challenges, right? What would you say would be the biggest challenge that you had to overcome?
This is my favorite question. You know what? With every question, I can questioning myself and find new answers and new perspectives as well. So the biggest learning thing was that when I thought I got it, I understand it, it's over now, my journey, it's over or I'm done. Then it is not. It's only the beginning of something new and you reveal something and you dig deeper and then you realize or you learn something new. So it never ends.
You're right about that. Kind of like when you first start getting into the reading of The Hobbit, that popular book. We read that book in school, and then we got finished that book. He's like, okay, now we start with The Lord of the Rings. What? No, we read the book. It's done. We're done. Don't go back. But you're right. It's the beginning of a new story. You're very right in that. Going back to what you said about being decisive and sort of teaching people to be decisive. What are some of the simple steps we can take in our daily lives to be more decisive?
You can just do it. Just start with whatever it is. Of course, we consider things as small or big. This is only the thinking that makes it so, but we can start with whatever you decide when to get out of bed or if you use an alarm clock or not. So simple things and what to eat. Little things you think they don't count, but you train your decision muscle, right?
You do. It's very true. I'm reminded of many, many examples just going back to choosing what to eat. Sitting in a restaurant and sometimes, and I'd like to hear your take on this. Why do you think that people are so indecisive? Because I know sometimes we say it's because of too many choices. But I mean, the same thing happens to me at a restaurant that's got a single page menu. Something. It's like, well, I don't know what I'm in the mood for, right? I mean, it's a one page menu, and I'm having the same trouble as I would at a restaurant that had 5 pages. Why do you think we tend to have that issue? Given that there's information or not information.
Yeah, I think it's just a habit. Procrastination is just a habit you formed. And on the same way, you can form a new habit to be more decisive. So you make the decisions. When you go to the restaurant, you say, yes, I want to make a decision within 1 minute, because it also releases the stress you have that you think about, you are doubting, and do I like it? And at the end, it doesn't matter. You have a great evening with your friend and you can put this aside and really it doesn't matter what you demand there. What you get is food, something to eat, right? If you don't make a decision and if it tastes good, you don't know in advance. So I would say these are small decisions and you can learn this by going to the restaurant and then train yourself. And then you are ready for the big decisions, buying a new car, constructing a house, finding the right partner, whatever. But the process is always the same. And I love how you brought this up with the restaurant, because when we talk about laws of the universe, we cannot see them, but it's the same way. We demand the things by our thinking. So we choose our thoughts. We get to choose. And this is also a decision. When you have bad thoughts or negative thoughts, you get to decide, do I want to think that thought? Do I want to create something with that vibration in my life? Or do I want to switch it to happy thoughts and then attract the people and circumstances into my life that matches that.
I love how you wind that up too, because just recently we were talking about that. The decision to participate in certain thought patterns or certain things, and that's kind of training a muscle too, isn't it? Training those thought patterns to. It's not about being positive all the time. It's about, I don't know, seeing it, I guess, at face value.
It is being in harmony. When you are in harmony with life, whatever it is, when you see a bad situation and you embrace the moment and see the good in it, then this is a decision too. And what you said is so important because it all starts in the mind. And when you form this in your mind, then you will be more decisive on your outer world in your daily life as well.
Just going back to that restaurant item, and I mean, it's gone to extremes. I picked this one because I have a personal pet peeve. I did go out with some people one time to a restaurant, and it's a place called the Cheesecake Factory, and their dessert menu, as I think they have it's absurd amount of cakes. It's 35, 50, I don't even know. It's a lot. It was a 10-page menu. And they sat there for I'm not kidding, 45 minutes trying to decide what cheesecake they wanted. We jokingly said, oh, first world problems, right? Because it wouldn't be a problem in other countries. What would your advice be if, and again, this can be about a small decision or a big decision. You said the process is the same. If you aren't able to come to a decision, what do you say is the first step to making that decision?
First of all, I would say when I witness this, you always have the choice to leave the restaurant. You don't have to hang up with your friends and waiting 45 minutes. First of all, this is also a choice to wait there, to be patient, and now to talk about it. Of course, I would say, and your question was, what is your first step? It is, I would say, close your eyes and put the finger on the menu, and then it's what you choose. I don't know. Maybe it is, yeah.
No, it's true. I like that you said that. What a slap across the face for me. Wow. But I mean, you're absolutely right. I had a choice. I didn't. I watched it, but it's kind of like watching a train wreck. Sometimes you're watching it and you just can't stop watching it. All the cars are starting to plane up, but you're right. It is a choice. Was a choice, and the more that we realize that, the more we take power back for ourselves as well. Right?
What you said is trauma. When you watch a train wreck and you cannot turn your eyes from, no, it's not funny. It's not funny. We all did this in 9/11. I remember watching the television 24 hours, and the journalists were not sleeping that day. They were it was a trauma. So it is a trauma it can be a trauma for others. Witnessing this, your friends, 45 minutes in the Cheesecake Factory. I know this, it's chain, right? I saw one, but I did not enter. And now I know why. So it is a trauma. You witness this, and it's a habit too, that you watch something you don't really like, and then afterwards you talk about it. It's a habit. So I would say, of course, it is a personal problem. So you have the problem or someone else has the problem, and they have to do the work if they want to change it. So first of all comes the decision that you want to change it, that it is it is something bad for you. You cannot live with that habit. You want to change the habit. And as I said, it is just a habit, procrastination, and we can change this.
And like any habit, it takes practice, though, right? But it gets into a lot of things too, and that actually brings me back to procrastination a bit. And you actually just made me think of something that I hadn't really considered before, and now I'm wondering how much of our procrastination could be built in through society just by the simple act of, oh, it's polite to wait.
So you can be polite to other people, but is it polite for yourself? So the question is, how much do you value your time? And of course, yeah, what you said about procrastination is so nice, because we all have this, because it's easier. As I said, complacency, it's easier to not make a decision. It's just not making a decision. It's also making a decision. Yeah. And the question is, you are polite waiting for the people, but are they polite with you? So I have another idea. You put this timer on your mobile phone. You put a timer 5 minutes, and then you fold the menus, and everyone has to order.
Right. So yeah, so you put the time limit. That's one sort of trick that you have, right? And obviously we wouldn't put a 5-minute timer on buying a car, but the same principle could be applied to buying a car, correct? But instead of maybe 5 minutes, it would be, well, I don't know, 5 weeks, 5 months, whatever the case may be. Are there any other tricks that we can use to kind of gently force ourselves to make a decision?
Yeah, we can do the writing part and write down the benefits of doing quick decisions and also what we lose if we don't make a decision. You can do this on writing. Some people call this journaling, and I want to bring up the story of Napoleon Hill and Andrew Carnegie if it was not mentioned before in your podcast, because I'm a huge fan of Napoleon Hill. I studied his work, Think and Grow Rich, of course, and I also visited the Andrew Carnegie Mansion in New York last year, and it was very impressive because this was the place when Napoleon Hill was challenged by Andrew Carnegie to make a decision to write this book, to do research for 25 years. It was the time it took to interview 25,000 people, I think, and these were 2,500 not successful people and 500 successful. And why am I telling you this? Because this book was sold over 200 million times worldwide until now. And he didn't know that Andrew Carnegie had a timer. We called, I don't know the word, but a timer at that time, 100 years ago, under the table. He did not see it. And it took 29 seconds for Napoleon Hill to say yes. And you know what that started? It was huge, this decision. So I looked this up from him as a great example. Yeah, and it helps.
29 seconds, I guess. But I guess that sort of speed really comes down to trusting yourself.
What your question implies is that you think you have first to trust yourself and then being able to make quick decisions. What if we put it the other way around? You make quick decisions from your gut feeling without overthinking it, and then comes the confidence because you see the outcome, the results that you have. Yeah, you have beautiful outcomes. It was the right decision. And by training this, you form this new habit and confidence in yourself.
Okay. And in order to do this, obviously we try to do this as much as possible. Does it make a difference? Because we're talking about the mind. Does it make a difference if I kind of trick my brain into doing this? So I get out of bed and I say, okay, do I brush my teeth first or do I do the other thing first? Like, can we train ourselves that way, or do you think it's more of like a trick?
No, you can train this. And if you ask the question, do I brush my teeth first? That is a sign that it is not a habit of yours. So I heard a great exercise from Bob Proctor, one of my mentors, and he said, because I think you are familiar with affirmations as well, writing things down 100 times or so. So he had the sentence, when I wake up, I get up. And when you write this 100 times, then there is no procrastinating in bed, so to say. So you get up immediately, and you can do this with any other task, brushing teeth, whatever. So you make a decision once and you act on it then automatically, because we have this built-in success mechanism. I can refer to the book Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz, Dr. Maxwell
Good book.
Maltz,
I
I
like that.
think.
I like
Yeah,
that book, actually. Yeah, you're right. I'm going to reread that, actually.
this is really, because you form this self-image. So you have to see yourself first as the person doing this, doing quick decisions, being decisive. And this is how you form your new self-image.
And just going back to that, because I love Bob Proctor, actually. Never worked with him, but I've seen his material. I like a lot of what he says. Do you believe? And I've been looking around for this too, and again, everyone's different. Do you think that the affirmations are more useful in the journal than just set out, inside your own mind as well?
This is a twofold question. So I would say whatever works for you is what's right. And I would say it is important to work with all your 5 senses. Because you see, when you write it, you have to do this with your hand. then you see it with your eyes, what you wrote, then you can touch the paper. It is the first step to manifestation. It is already there on paper, your affirmation, whatever. Then you feel it, you smell it, you you hear it when you read it out loud, of course. So the more senses are involved, the better, or the quicker, but it is important to feel it. If you don't feel it, so we have the consciousness, the subconscious, and then this barrier between, so to say. And if you don't feel it, it cannot flow in between, then it doesn't serve you. No, you have to believe it.
Yes, that barrier. And let's just touch on that for just a moment. That barrier. Can you explain a little bit more about that barrier?
Yes, we put it's also a habit that we have this thinking, and we think we know already everything, but it's not true. If we really want to change what's in our subconscious mind, then we have to get very uncomfortable, because it is uncomfortable for us to change habits. We talk about procrastination as a habit. You are in that restaurant and you are sitting there 45 minutes, and this is comfortable. Otherwise, it would not have been happened that way. Then if it's a habit that you decide within 5 minutes, then this is comfortable. So if someone, I don't know the word, if someone draws the menu from you and say, now stop, time is over, then it is really uncomfortable, because you have two energies fighting against each other. XY, Bob Proctor would say the X type energy, it's the old one, and the Y type energy, the new one. And when your paradigm comes into play, when the paradigm recognizes that you are very serious about the change here, then all the fears are coming up, and this is your moment of this decision to say, I want to form a new habit. I am a new person.
I like that you brought up to being comfortable, because a lot of the times it seems that we don't tend to change as people when we're comfortable, right? I mean, we don't go out. I was reminded actually just recently too, just before this podcast, I was speaking to somebody about the Three Little Pigs, the story about they build the houses, and then the wolf comes and blows the house down, and they rebuild it. And, that is all about decisions, right? They made the decision to first build the house. But, if the wolf hadn't come along and blown the house, they probably would have been content just to stay in that house forever.
Yes, in that ugly house. Of course, I know the first one, and then the bricks and the wood and something like that. Yeah, it is about change and being willing to change, to accept this new energy or new ideas for yourself. And we know this in every adversity is the equivalent seed of the benefit, or greater, even greater, in Think and Grow Rich, and we can learn so much. So what was your question? Change is inevitable, but personal growth is a choice. Also, Bob Proctor and my podcast, The Inspired Choice, is about not only making choices, but also being guided by intuition. This is very important, that you mix it is the feminine energy and the masculine inner energy, by the way, and you have to use both. So the rational mind, we talked about this, the thinking is the sum of your past experiences. And this is what I also wanted to add. You see your world through the filter of all your past experiences. So you cannot act otherwise than take 45 minutes to order a cheesecake. So and when you want to make a change, then this is the first thing you have to make. You want that change. And if you change inside, then you will deliver new results on the outside.
No, I really love that. As you were talking about that, something just occurred to me. I hadn't really thought about it before, but it's kind of funny to think, but we know that being uncomfortable is what spurs change. So why is it that, our goal as people, it seems to be to make ourselves comfortable so that we become complacent?
That's a good question. I have to answer this question now. Yeah, I don't know. I would take a look in nature. What we see in nature, the flowers and the trees, they are constantly moving and changing. The leaves are falling from the tree, etc. So this is natural. But what we learned is our paradigm, our beliefs, limiting beliefs, and our habits, and that is stopping us from growth sometimes. But we have to first to recognize that this is the case, and then make a decision for a change. And your question was, why is it? Yeah, it's just a habit. It comes all down. And when you see this, that this is all a habit, all of our behavior is habitual and habits can be changed. This is great. So then it is not such a pressure for you to change something in your life.
No, you're right about that. And then I guess I'm going to go back to this because I'm going to beat my restaurant experience to death. Apparently, I guess because you know, uh, it wasn't really uncomfortable for me to watch them do that. I guess, but it wasn't uncomfortable for them either. So that behavior would tend to continue.
Yes, it is the trained behavior because all we learned, from the conditioning from our childhood, this is what we recognize and what we feel as comfortable as well. But this will not deliver us new and better results for our life. When I think of in terms of what your income is or where you live or the car you drive, how you dress, for example, and you want to become this better version of yourself, then it only goes through the uncomfortable, the unknown. I can say the unknown because you don't know yet. You didn't have this result in your life ever before. So you have to think differently, right? Yeah.
That's true. And I just want to back up just a little bit to where we were talking about, because something else that's just the way my brain works, apparently. Something came up when you were talking about emotions and feelings, and as it comes to decisions. So I guess my question would be, when we look at our decisions and we look at how we feel about those decisions, should we always immediately, and considering Bob Proctor and others, and also the movie The Secret, the book The Secret, should we be more inclined to sit with those in those 30 seconds, right? Just see how you feel about it. Should we be more inclined to an option that makes us feel happier, or an option which makes us feel, I don't know, afraid?
I know what you mean. Yeah, happy is there are two or three different planes now to explain what you said. And it is so we have what I do with my clients is to set a worthy ideal first. Your C-type goal, I call it C-type goal. It is something you never did before. It scares you and excites you at the same time. And this is what you are talking about. So it is uncomfortable, it is scary, but also when you think about your goal and the accomplishment, then it makes you really, really happy. So you have those both energies you are dealing with, the devil and the angel, so to say, on your shoulders to talk to you. And you always have to make decisions based on, is it serving your goal or not? If it's not serving, then don't do it. For example, we can talk about this podcast or my podcast, but let's talk about your podcast. Why did I say yes to your invitation? Because it serves my goal. I'm training myself to speak more, to become more visible, to overcome that fear, if you will. And also, of course, promote my new book on my podcast, whatever. I love it. So it serves my goal. And once you have this goal set, then decision making is very easy.
That's very interesting too. So when we're talking about our goals and moving forward in life, and again, I'm going to go back to my silly example. Should we take these lesser decisions and just make them non-decisions in order to make our lives easier? Because, I mean, what kind of cheesecake I'm going to have does not impact my life goal, my life plan, right? So maybe I should just, I don't know, take some dice, flip a coin, or something else. If I can't make a decision on something that is small and not in alignment with my big goals.
Say, yeah, I would say you are always acting according to your paradigm, your beliefs and habits. So it was aligned already. The question is, do you want to align to a different goal or so? And I love what you said because, yeah, at the end, it doesn't matter which cheesecake you had on that day. But also, if it serves your goal, for example, if you had a good conversation, 45 minutes, and it also served your goal because we can talk about this now. Thank you to your friends for doing this because I see it, I love it. So what was the question? I think I,
No,
I
no,
stopped.
The question, I guess, was for decisions where maybe you're having a difficult time deciding. Maybe as like a crutch or something to practice with, you could, say you have chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry, three choices, and you can't decide. Maybe you just, flip a coin or roll the dice or some other random, or have somebody else choose. No, no, no. Having somebody else choose probably is not the best. But one of those random ways to choose, is that also going to be beneficial to helping make a decision?
Not on the long run. It helps in the situation, but it's just like a bypass or so, because it doesn't help to form the new habit. To form the new habit, being decisive takes responsibility, and it's your responsibility and also your work you have to do. So if you say to the other people, decide for me, then it is not only procrastination, it is also giving up power.
No, no, you're absolutely right there too. And it's funny because I don't recall, and it's horrible that I don't recall the book. There was a book where there was this very famous person. I believe he was a mathematician, and he basically said he took out as many decisions as he could in his life to leave his mind open. So he decided for ice cream it was always vanilla, for cake it was always chocolate, for breakfast it was always this. Is there a benefit to doing that, or should we be flexible in even those decisions?
No, it helps. And I don't know the book, but Steve Jobs did this with his clothes. Do you remember he had 20 pair of jeans or 20 black T-shirts, something like that? He never had to think about it. So it saved him time. And I would agree to that. My life is not that way, but I also prefer chocolate and pistachio. I think it is, yeah, and something like that. But I don't have the problem of making quick decisions. And what I want to add again, that there is no big or small. So you can have this 30 seconds deciding about ice cream or cheesecake, and also decide for a new car, because we can say your higher self or your soul or whatever, your gut feeling knows already what you really want. You are just not used to making quick decisions, or trusting this gut feeling.
You're absolutely right there. Just looking up at the time here, Carolyn, it has been a very good conversation, interesting conversation. We are coming up on the time, though. Is there anything that you wish I would have asked or should have asked that I didn't ask, or anything that you feel we should have covered but didn't cover today?
I'm very happy with the conversation as well. And I cannot decide which question to choose, which you didn't ask me. You asked, how am I doing? And yeah, I love that. I love our interview. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Just before we go, what is the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you if they have questions, or maybe they want to make decisions, maybe they want to be inspired?
That would be great, because I can help you with that. I call myself Inspired Choice Coach. So I help you making powerful decisions for yourself, for your life. I'm on every social media platform, even Snapchat. By the way, you can find me under my name, Carolyn Biesalski, or Inspired Choice podcast. You can inspiredchoice.today is the homepage. And I love to get in touch with you. And maybe sometimes it is one impulse I can give to someone, and it helps the person to make powerful decision.
And just to all our listeners, don't worry. We are going to put that in the show description for you. So don't worry about, grabbing a paper and pen and trying to write that down. Well, Carolyn, thank you so much again for being on the show. It's been a real pleasure. To all our listeners, thank you for tuning in. And, just remember, if you can't find that motivation or inspiration for yourself today, maybe just go out and try to be that motivation and inspiration for someone else. And we'll see you again next time.